It's on the side now.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second.
Hello, everyone. We're live.
I'm trying to get to this graphic thingy here with the
So,
what's
good
going on?
afternoon, and welcome to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. You didn't do the music.
Folks, we didn't do our intro because for some reason we got a little different screen here today from
Well,
our
let's go
our
do the
platform.
intro. So, go ahead and do the intro, and then
I
we'll.
can't even find the
It's also
intro.
it's on the under design.
Oh, so that's what they did, huh?
And then you'll find it right over there in that corner.
Oh, this is hilarious, folks. See, even professionals go through these things sometimes. So stand by.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Now, good afternoon, everyone. This is our official intro. This is the Business Zone with.
Crystal and Gilbert.
All righty. So that's how we do it here on the Business Zone, folks. We're always ready. As small businesses, we got to be ready at all times. Never know what glitch could come your way.
Right. They changed I actually like it now that I saw it too. I went, "Wait, what is this?" Okay, okay, and then I had to figure out my way around it, but, there you
Oh
have it, guys.
man. So folks, I know you guys probably have missed us. We didn't do a live show last week. We did a rerun because my co-host, she took a red eye turnaround trip to London, London, England. So she traveled in 4 days, folks. 4 days. I cannot believe this. She traveled to England and turned around and came back to Los Angeles in 4 days. I don't know anyone who can do that. This is a superwoman right here.
Yes, I felt like a jet setter, flying in, jumped on a flight, and then turned back around and came back in 2 days, and actually so get this, Gilbert, while I was in London, because I was there for a conference, I didn't get to see any of London. I basically got to see the, Tube and the Underground because I spent a
Yes.
lot of time in there, and then our summit was over at the Tottenham Stadium where the soccer stadium. So that was
Yes.
pretty really cool, right? But in the 3 days, so I left Thursday, no Friday. So I was there. No, I didn't. What was I there? Wednesday and Thursday, and then I was on a flight back for Thursday night. Left London um what time? I think we left London at 5:30 and got back to Los Angeles at 8:40 because there's a 10 hour.
Oh man.
So
I tell you,
I
man.
caught my sleep back up on the back end of it. What I lost on the front end, I got it back on the back end.
Oh my lord. Man, I feel so bad for my co-host, man. She's just been working it and working it and working it, folks. And she's doing all of this for all of you, the love that we have for all of you guys. So we just want to let you know, man, we do make sacrifices for you guys.
Right, exactly. But I had a great it was an interesting time. The conference was amazing. So that was really cool. But yeah, I felt like a major jet setter. I got to squirrel in and squirrel out. I walked over 60,000 steps on my Fitbit.
Oh my lord,
Uh,
that's
about
amazing.
23,000 every no, actually, yeah, 23,000, actually probably a little bit more for the 2 days. Yeah, 23,000 steps every day. So that was pretty cool.
That's unbelievable, man. That's unbelievable.
But but it was a good conference. Then I jumped back. I came back and I we jumped right up back into biz camp. So biz camp was going on. The kids had their competition the following week. So my kids did a
Wow.
fantastic job. I was so
Hmm.
very proud of them. All of them presented. All of them had some great ideas, as they usually do. And so that was awesome. So that was what was spearing me on during this time.
Hmm.
And so now I'm back, and biz camp starts another round. Cohort 2 starts on July 10th. So
Mm-mm-mm.
we're thinking we're gonna have some 30 something kids.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that looks like. No, some 60 something children.
Hmm.
So we'll see what that looks like. And but I will say this. Hey, it is what it is, right?
That's right. It is what it is, man. You can only do what you can do. I know you've been running ragged, man. So right after this, you definitely gotta have to take a long term vacation. You see
Well,
what I mean?
I am going to Egypt.
When?
I'm going to Egypt in the last 2 weeks of August, so I will be taking a vacation. So we're gonna have to do some pre-recording of shows,
Yes,
and so
yes.
we can run those shows while I'm away. But I am gonna be in Egypt seeing my grandbaby, which, by the way, today is her birthday. She is
Really?
1 years old
What's her
today.
name? What's her
Her
name?
name is Lyanne, and
Happy
so
birthday, Lyanne.
so I am so I'm very happy today. So I haven't had a chance to talk to them, but hopefully I'll catch them later on today.
Aunt Crystal will be coming to visit you in a few weeks.
Yep, in a few weeks. So today is her 1 year old, 1 year on this earth.
Oh, wow. That's amazing, man. Time flies. It was just the other day she was born, and now
I
look at
know
that.
it
1 year
already.
already.
1 year already. Yep.
Man.
And last year was a really whirlwind when it came to travel for me. So
Yes.
right
Yeah,
on the
that was
backside of
crazy.
at this time of the month, I headed to Vegas for my girlfriend's 25th anniversary, and
Yeah.
then from there I went to Egypt, and then
Hmm.
from there I came back and was here for a month or two, and then I went on to South Africa. So gotta
Man,
live. You only live
it,
once.
if I can't do the travel co-host, you do it on my behalf. I'm living vicariously through you.
Through you.
Okay. Go to all those places, learn what's going on, their culture, small business culture, the small business environment, and so we can tap into it later.
Yep, that's what's gonna happen. So, how about you? What you been up to?
Oh man, I've been crazy busy doing a lot of work for small businesses, putting together webinars and training classes for different sect of small businesses and micro businesses.
Okay.
Trying to establish new partners that we could really work with, partners who really believe in helping small businesses and not that smoke and pony show that the other agencies put up and act like they really want to help small businesses just so they can get grants and do nothing for small business. So I'm busy working on establishing those types of partnership, and I just want to put it out there. I'm working on establishing an entrepreneurship center for the Buchanan and Associates, and that center is going to be it's going to be providing I don't want to say worldwide, but region-wide services for entrepreneurs. Ones who are two sects of entrepreneurs, ones that are starting up and the ones that are existing. So the ones who are starting up from 0 to 3 years old, I want to help them to understand the ropes so they don't make as many mistakes as other businesses who don't have these training and coaching do. And then the ones that are beyond 3 years old, we want to help to gear them towards doing government contracts because small businesses are operating right now. They don't really have a structure. They don't have guidance. So they started the business and they're just running. There's no focus, no mission, no vision as to where they're going and how they're going to get there. So that's why I want to launch his center. I want to see if I can get some grants or some sponsorship or even get some philanthropist dollars to do this. I'm committing some of my resources for free, and I'm not going to charge these businesses initially, but that's what I've been working on.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
And also, you and I had talked about establishing a benefit corporation, social enterprise, and I've been doing some work on that too for you to
Yeah,
get
that's
your
gonna be for
benefit,
the yeah,
to
for the
get your
community briefing. That's what I want.
to
That
get your benefit corporation going, so you can continue to provide the wonderful services that you're providing as the queen of the community briefing programs.
All right, that sounds fantastic. So I'll look forward to that. And of course, we have some great stuff coming up for our anniversary. It's not
Yeah,
actually, we have been on the air 7 years as of
7 years.
tomorrow,
Yeah,
June 8th.
yeah.
But I mean July 8th, but
July 8th.
we're gonna celebrate in the month of August, everyone, because just so much is going on right now.
You sure
And
you want to do it in August or September? Because you got to be preparing for Egypt. So
okay,
sure don't want
maybe
to do it when you
September.
get back.
Yeah, maybe September.
Yeah,
So
don't be a superwoman now and kill yourself.
yeah, September. We're gonna do it before the end of this year.
Yeah,
This will be our 7th year. So somewhere before the end of this year, we'll make
yeah. We'll celebrate the closing of summer in September with our anniversary. That's
okay.
what we'll do.
Works. That works. So so some good things are coming up. But we're glad to be back and I always love doing the broadcasting. Sometimes it's just if you're in turmoil and in the air, it's kind of on a flight, it's kind of hard to run a show on the flight.
Exactly, exactly.
But thank God for the ability to run a repeat. And it actually, I think I reran the same one twice, but I got a call from someone to say, "Oh, thank you for rerunning that." From what's our? She ran for councilwoman. Selena.
Selena.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
she was.
I told her we did, and I told her, I said, hey, guess what I'm watching right now? She said, I don't know. I said, I'm watching you on our show doing an interview. She said, really? I said, yeah, we reran your show, and I'm sitting here listening to it. And she said, oh my God, I gotta check it out. So that's why she called you immediately.
Ah, okay. So that was like, oh, she saw it, but yeah, and then a couple other people were chiming back and forth. But we're
Yeah,
back, guys. So
yes.
we're back. There's quite a bit going on out there, and we just want to talk about some of that. First thing I want everybody to be aware of that this month is National Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's
For
kind of
minorities.
for minorities, National Minority Mental Health and Awareness. And with so much going on, Gilbert, I mean, I don't know if you had the news, or I know you don't really do the news,
Yeah.
but in the background for 4th of July, I was at some friends' house, and they had the television was on running in the background while we were eating great food and having a good time. But I tell you, all across the country, there were so many shootings. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, what was up with that? I saw that and I thought it was like a video they were running from like a year ago. I could not believe it was live.
It was live. It was live and in color. And
Oh my
I'm going
Lord.
like, what is happening? So, man, just to live in this country nowadays or live period, it is like we're always under attack.
Mm-hmm.
That was just incredible. So the 4th of July, in addition to fireworks, you had real works, real fire and shooting and mass murdering. I think I'm just happy to live in the state of California. That's all
Yeah,
I can say. I
yeah.
feel safe in the state of California. I
That's
don't know
crazy.
about
That
staying
is
anywhere else, but state of California, I'm good. I
yeah,
stay
that
right.
is crazy, man. I don't know why people, the lawmakers, I don't know why they cannot understand that these guns out there are really causing major problems. They're talking about Second Amendment and all of that, but you know, they're trying to block our First Amendment rights, where we can't speak about anything anymore.
Hmm.
You start speaking, people start canceling you and all of that. So
Hmm.
if they can violate the First Amendment, why can't they do something about the Second Amendment too? You know,
because they don't want to.
Do an amendment to the amendment.
Do an amendment to the amendment.
Yeah. Make it more, more user friendly so people can live and survive and function. So a lot of other people don't think they have supreme rights over others. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're living in very, very interesting times, very turbulent times, which is really kind of scary.
Yeah.
But they definitely, I mean, children are being killed unnecessarily, even if it wasn't gunshot. They've gotten trampled by, when that happens, and you're
Yeah.
at a big event. I know for me, I don't do big events right now. I'm
Right.
sorry, I just can't. I'm just afraid to be out there
Right.
doing that. And so, but I don't know. It's a little bit scary out there. So we had that going on, and then of course the fireworks. I don't know what it was like in your area, but in my area, man, they lit the skies up.
I stayed indoors, man. I didn't even want to deal. The only thing I tried to do is to try to protect my roof and make sure none of those were landing on my roof. That's it. Because there's nothing much you can do.
I came in from Orange County because I was in Orange County for I was in Orange County for the holidays, and I drove back on at about 8 o'clock on 4th of July evening.
Yeah.
So as I'm coming in from Orange County, right at the county line between Orange County and then you get into Long Beach.
Yeah.
So on one side you saw those like for the
Oh
fireworks, and you
Lord.
see the little smoke, right?
Yeah.
When we came, but I was looking out in the far horizon, like, why does that look like that's a tornado coming in? It was so much snow, so much smoke that
Yeah.
it come in the from the fireworks, and it appeared that they had started somewhere about I think my sister said they started somewhere about 3:30 in the afternoon. So by the
Wow.
time I came in, by the time I got into Long Beach, you couldn't
Yeah.
even see the sky. It
Oh,
looked like
wow.
literally like it was a snowstorm
Yeah.
that had just happened. So
That is crazy,
folks
man.
had a good time. I assume everybody had a fantastic time
Oh Lord.
because it was plenty of fireworks going on, and they finally settled down about 6 or 7 hours later. So that was Fourth of
Mm-mm-mm.
July. So that was pretty cool. That was So you stayed home. Did you
Yep,
cook?
I stayed home and cooked. I did not want to be out there in this rat race, crazy things going on, because that's when a lot of people get out of control and start doing crazy things. So yeah, I stayed home, watched a lot of TV, cooked, and that's about it, man. I didn't want to be out there at all.
Okay. Yeah, I went out to my friend's house that lives in Orange County, and we had a really good time. Small little number, but I actually went out on Monday. I drove out on Monday afternoon and spent the night in Orange County,
Oh,
and
good.
then I was already there, and then I came back on Tuesday. So
Yeah,
it was a nice it was a nice little break, uh,
that's good.
a little
That's
rest. Stayed in a
yeah.
hotel so I could get a little bit of sleep.
Yeah, yeah, you need a lot of sleep. That's what you need. You need a lot of sleep, man, because I'm telling you, that jet lag, you may not see it yet, but it's gonna creep up on you, man. One of these days, you're gonna be trying to crawl out of bed, and it's gonna be holding you back. Come back here. Where are you going? Gonna pull you back in the bed and say, you're not going out today. You're staying in bed today.
I know. But what can I say? Opportunities present themselves. I cannot say no.
That's right. That's right. So today, folks, as you're tuning into the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, we're going to be exploring an amazing topic today, which is affirmative action. Recently, if you guys recall, there was a recent Supreme Court decision on affirmative action and how it's going to affect colleges, admissions.
Mm-hmm.
So today, my co-host Crystal and I, we're going to talk a little bit about that affirmative action and how that could impact small businesses. Because I just want you guys all to know, as entrepreneurs, I want you to know this. Anything that goes on in the government, in Congress, those things are going to filter down to us small businesses. So you always want to be prepared. When you hear of a decision being made, don't go and say, hey, this doesn't apply to me, so I'm not even going to think about it. It will affect you. So you want to think about those things. You want to understand the ramifications and the impact of it. And that's what we're going to explore with you today. My co-host and I, we're going to go over the affirmative action decision and how it's going to impact you.
Awesome. But two things before we jump into that, we're gonna do our little commercial with Small Biz Pro in a few minutes to break up the 30 minutes. But Gilbert, did you hear that? It's so interesting when business moguls go at each other and try to stop their brilliance, right? So Elon is mad at
Mark,
Zuckerberg. Mark
at
Zuckerberg,
Zuckerberg. Oh,
because Zuckerberg just launched a competitive product to Twitter. And so it's called Threads. And
yeah,
right now it's the fastest growing new app out there. And it's an alternative to Twitter. Let me
really.
just call it that.
We need a lot of alternatives, man.
And from my understanding, as I read through the information, Elon is mad because he says
That's
that
an infringement on his platform, his operations.
but he also said that he took the employees that Elon fired. They are all gone. A great deal of them
Oh,
have gone over to Facebook.
so Zuckerberg took those fired employees. Oh my God, that is really warfare there.
Which is brilliant because these were geniuses, but Elon didn't recognize their brilliance, and I probably, if I'm going to guess
Wow.
correctly, he did not have because so, and this is a good point I think for our small businesses.
Yeah.
If there was a non-compete for Twitter with the previous owner,
Yeah.
does that non-compete carry over with the new business owner?
See, that's something that they need to understand and read through because the attorneys, depending on the language of it, it depends on the language because if it's referenced in the agreement, then they may want to pay close attention. But if it was never referenced at all, then it's null and void. They cannot do anything about it.
So I'm thinking since Elon wasn't really all that, he had to be forced to buy Twitter because
Right.
he put the challenge out there. He was going to buy it, but
Yeah.
I think he's not the dot your I and cross the T kind of guy.
Right. Right.
And and I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. I will bet there was not a non-compete in place.
Yeah, he's not an administrative guy. He's more like a technical guy, like an engineer type mind. So most of those types of folks, based on studies and research and observations, most of those guys, they don't pay attention to the fine print and paperwork and all of that. You see what I mean? So the contractual part of
The
it.
contractual part of it, because most
Yeah.
people have a not like an attorney firm. You can't leave as a senior partner or a junior partner and go to another firm,
Yeah.
especially senior partners, because there's a very ironclad
Right.
non-compete
Right.
document in place.
Right.
But I probably would bet on my mom's grave that one did not have that in place. He
Yeah.
probably just he wouldn't listen to anybody, and he probably just threw out everything. And so now those employees that worked at Twitter
Yeah.
are now over at Threads,
Yeah.
which is part of the Meta, and it's also part of the Instagram. So now Instagram got a whole suite. I mean, Facebook got a whole suite.
Now you know they're gonna provide enhancements to that program, and they may not even charge for some of those enhancements as an introductory cost to the marketplace. You see what I mean?
Right, because
So all those institutional knowledge folks who are coming from Twitter coming into this Threads, this new platform Threads, they're going to be giving it their all. They're going to go, you know what? I've been thinking about this while I was over at Twitter, but they wouldn't allow my genius to bring it to fruition. So now I'm going to do it over here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what's happening. So I just thought that was just classic. Um, I just thought that was classic because you gotta, as a business owner, you
Yeah.
gotta make sure in your exuberance to do whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
business still must prevail. You
Yeah.
have to make sure that you are protecting your asset, which is your business, and all aspects of that. So that was, I just thought, don't be that guy.
Well, the next issue with that I see is, you know how many of us are sole proprietors. So we run the business by ourselves, with ourselves, for ourselves. All the
Hmm.
decisions are being made by us, and that type of thing. We do everything.
Hmm.
So he is trying to run Twitter the same way as if he was a sole prop, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't. He's supposed these types of things. He's supposed to delegate to his legal department and other departments
Yeah.
so that they can go through that and manage that. But he wants to manage all of that himself, and that's why he's finding himself in a hole.
Right. In fact, just recently he did it. He did something else. So he hired a CEO, but of course he has stepped over to CEO,
Yep.
and he's tied her hands.
Yep.
And so she was trying to get back all of the advertisers that have left because
Yeah.
they were not happy with what was going on at Twitter.
Yeah.
And so now he stepped in a couple days ago and said that he was going to limit the number of posts that a person could read.
Really. That's
And
crazy.
and so, not even how many posts you can post, but how
Yeah.
many posts that you can read in a day.
I think he should do that. I really do think he should do that because then everybody see that's how new inventions come to the marketplace.
Mhm.
When you have bunglings going on and people can't figure things out and they're putting restrictions on the user, the consumer, then somebody come up with a new invention and then everybody shifts to that side. So I
Right.
want him to do that because then
So,
it's going to force some other
well,
uh
you got threads now.
entrepreneur. Yeah, yeah,
You got
exactly.
threads now, because
Yeah,
when you limit people, people are going to leave.
yeah,
They had gone to Macedonia, but Macedonia had some other. They didn't have the funds. They didn't
yeah,
have the capital that Facebook has. Capital. They have mega, and they're public, right?
yeah,
So they can go out and drive the Facebook a stock up, and they got capital. But Macedonia didn't have that because they're not a public company. So yeah, so there you go. So sometimes I here's what I say. Business is it's not just the fact that you have capital. I say this all the time. Anyone can have capital to run a business.
hmm,
It takes some real business skills,
right,
leadership qualities to
hmm.
really run a business. You just can't run a business willy-nilly.
You can't do it by yourself either. You got to
Yeah.
because everybody has different expertise. So you've got your CEO, you've got your general managers, you've got your marketing team, advertising team, operational team, all of those teams, the production teams, all of those teams have different specialties, right? So
Mhm.
he can't step in and try to be the 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 chief the chief cook and bottle washer in all of that. He's gonna have
Mm-mm.
to let them, because right now, like you said earlier, he was trying to step over the CEO and tell her what to do. Can't do that. You
Right.
have to let them do their jobs, and you provide oversight on the whole thing as a leader. And I think real soon we're going to do a class in session here on the business zone on leadership, types of leadership again. And we're going to cover that particular style of leadership.
Yeah.
It's not a productive style. It has more disadvantage than it does advantage.
Right. You have a lot of it's counterintuitive to you actually being a successful business owner and
Yeah.
being able to grow your business is not a good strategy
Right.
to want to micromanage everything.
Yeah,
And
you can't
that
do that, man.
right. And that's why you have the hierarchy of in your organization is because you
Yeah.
get great input from everyone that's involved, but you got to give them the ability to actually function. You got to give them latitude to utilize their brilliances. Because if you don't, somebody else is going to capitalize on it. That's just all
Exactly.
we can say. So I just
And
thought I
this
wanted.
this this would be co-host. This would be like me trying to do everything here at the business zone and overshadowing you and taking over the financial piece that you provide, the coaching that you provide, all of that. I'm trying to take over that, and you being a subordinate to me.
Right.
That can't work.
No.
I don't have as much expertise in the financial, the bookkeeping, the accounting area as you do. So
Hmm.
how am I going to try to supersede you? And that's what
Right.
he's doing. He's
Right.
trying to supersede people who have more expertise than him
And
in
especially
certain
in this area,
areas.
right? Exactly. Yeah, I don't jump into your space. I tell people, give him a call. I can only give you a highbrow overview.
Yeah.
He can give you all of the details and exactly how the steps in order to do that. I can just tell you
Exactly.
what benefits that you can derive from that, and I can also tell you that it would be if you're doing it correctly, it could be a game changer for taking your business to the next level. But that's
Yeah.
all I can do. So I
Yeah.
refer them over to you,
Right.
uh, Gilbert, because that's your area of expertise. But
Right.
but that's what people have to learn: collaboration and coordination with and learning to delegate and recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses and showing up those strengths and weaknesses with someone that has that expertise really makes you a much more valuable business owner
Yeah.
than you trying to wear all the hats and take all of the glory yourself. So,
Exactly.
anytime you do all of that, then you're really sabotaging yourself. So, with
Right.
that, we're going to jump over to our commercial real quick,
Yep.
and then we're going to. I'm gonna move us over here, and then I'm going to. We're gonna. Here we go. Then we'll jump into our topic.
Sounds
Do you
good.
have a tool that organizes your company's paperwork and takes care of all your record keeping? Does your current record-keeping system send you 90-day alerts to remind you that your key documents are about to expire and need to be renewed? Can you find contracts and procurement opportunities in seconds from any of the 50 United States so you can grow your business? Is your business organized so that you can tell which key documents are needed to efficiently run the business? How about woman-owned, small business, or disadvantaged business enterprise certifications? Do you have a checklist of all the key documents you need to become certified? Does your current system allow you to conduct market research from multiple sources and provide you industry and market data in seconds? Well, Small Biz Pro does all of that and more. Small Biz Pro is the #1 business management, compliance, procurement assistance, and market research assistance tool on the market today. Download the app now and you will be amazed. It's like having 3 additional employees working for you, but you don't have to pay them. What are you waiting for?
That's what we're talking about, folks. Small Biz Pro, the #1 platform to help small businesses set up their back office, manage their documents, get themselves ready so they can get contract, they can apply for contract, apply for certifications, and even apply for funding for their nonprofits. This is an amazing tool, guy. You hear about Chat GPT? Huh. Well, here's Small Biz Pro.
A great tool to add to to your services so that you can make sure that you are in compliance, that you are operating a functional business with assistance from Small Biz Pro. So
That's right.
you guys going over there. So Gilbert is the founder and innovator of Small Biz Pro. So you guys want to know more about it, reach out to him and get your copy today. It will definitely take a change how you do business.
And I'm putting our contact phone number in the chat, guys. If you want to contact me regarding Small Biz Pro, you're going to call this number, and I'll be happy to help you out. So call small this number for more information on Small Biz Pro.
So we're going to jump into our topic, but one of the things as we go into our topic, which is how does affirmative action impact small businesses? But there are a couple other rulings that took place this week. One in particular that I think would have a major could have a major impact on small business owners, and that was the one that was discrimination based on sexual orientation.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue was a suit was filed by a creative web designer claiming she had her constitutional right to discriminate against people based on their sexual orientation.
Mm-mm.
The case argued that 303 Creative wants to they want to, now they have not done this as of yet, to design wedding websites only for straight people. So it's not a actual business, and nor did this situation come up. This is all in um I want to call it hyperbole, or just in case, or in case of.
Mm-hmm.
And so a Colorado law requiring businesses to work with all people regardless of sexual orientation or even race violates her First Amendment right to free speech. So the stakes that are here is that this court issued a very broad decision in favor of religious rights. This ruling could basically condone discrimination by businesses against not just the LGBTQ community, but this could open up a can of worms that could also say that as a business owner, I can discriminate against anyone if I feel it goes against my beliefs, right?
Mm.
So that's huge, especially for people of color, because if you go and you hire someone to do your websites or whatever that is, services, coaching, it could be us, it could be anyone, where all of a sudden you have the right based upon a First Amendment, a freedom of speech,
Yeah.
to not do business with anyone. That means they don't have to serve you at a restaurant. They don't have to serve you at they don't have to serve you in any capacity of business.
Right. So I'm a little confused about that particular um, motion there. So tell me exactly what's going. The business owner who was LGBTQ.
She was not.
Oh, the business owner was not, but the
She
LGBTQ customer came in and wanting the service.
didn't even happen. She's speculating if someone came in
Oh,
that was asking her to create a wedding website for them, and they were the same sex. Did not happen.
okay.
That she would feel that was against her right, her freedom of speech. It did not happen to her.
Right. Well, I've seen lots of court cases with that regard, and a business owner under the California law, a business owner has a right to refuse service to anyone. So
Right.
I think that's the umbrella that they can operate under. Anything other than that is going to seem like discrimination. You see what I mean?
Right, but doesn't that like it because there is a law, isn't it, isn't there a law that forbids you from discriminating against gender or sexual
Yeah,
orientation or race or
yeah,
color.
there's a law that speaks of that, but they can hide under the umbrella that they have the right to refuse service to anyone. You see what I'm saying? So that's like a slippery slope type situation
Ah.
there. Because remember this, 7-Eleven or any one of those stores, if we go in there, right, they have a
Mm-hmm.
sign posted that says no shirt, no shoes, no service. But they also said that they can refuse service to anyone that they feel, if the person is belligerent, the person is disrespectful, or they just feel like that person is not going to be a good patron for their business, they can refuse them. So most racist and other discriminatory factors, they tend to use that umbrella to hide under and say, hey, I'm refusing service because this person is just threatening to me, or this person is just belligerent, or this person is not someone I want to do business with. And they do have the
Right.
right to refuse service. So that's what they do. So if it's a LGBTQ individual, they're not going to come out and say it's because they're LGBTQ. They're going to just say, hey, I refuse to do service with this person because I just don't like them.
Right. So I just looked up the law. So the law is they can refuse service unless the company is discriminating against a particular class
Right,
under the state, or local law.
right.
So if they can itemize it, but if she says it's LBGQ to Q T,
TQ.
yeah, Q,
Yeah,
then that is discrimination
right,
because she's actually spoken out against
right.
that. But what the Supreme Court has ruled
Hmm.
is that uh that that's part of her religious belief,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
yeah. They
therefore,
bring in religion to cover it up. You see what I'm saying?
right,
So
yeah.
that's what they've been doing this for years with black people, man. They've been refusing to serve us, and they've been saying it's a religious thing. Well, we know it's not no religious thing. Just because of how we look, they don't want to do business. They, oh, this person looks like a criminal. They could come in here and steal stuff from our store. They do that, man, and nobody says anything about it. The law give them that free pass because it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one of the laws, and then of course the biggest blockbuster, this is what we're going to talk about today, is the affirmative action. So we do know the state of California, and you have all the details to that, Gilbert, right? That they actually had already ruled
Yeah.
about affirmative action in the state of California.
Yeah,
So
and
can you?
and many say that this ruling undermines the affirmative action process. That this decision, what it's doing is threatening to make higher education less accessible and less equitable and less attainable for students of color. So, that's really what it is, because before, the affirmative action clause said, you must have an equal balance of students in your universities, especially if you're receiving federal funds. Most of them are receiving federal funds. So they're trying to bypass that and say, hey, it's just not working because we have more qualified students who can get into the university, but because of this program, we're bringing in students that are not so bright, and not so intelligent or educated to our platform, and that's dumbing down our program. So that's the argument they're using, which is not a good. It's not
Mm,
a good argument, you know. And then you've got all these other groups. I'm not even going to say, what classification they belong to, but you got all these
hmm
other groups are saying, yeah, yeah, that's true. Discrimination is illegal. I mean, affirmative action is illegal because it's only benefiting one group over others, and that's not the case. It's balancing the scale. That's what it's doing. It's balancing the scales, evening the playing field, but they don't want to see it that way.
mm.
So, and that's why today we're going to explore how this decision, rolling back this decision by the Supreme Court, can have more far-reaching effect on small businesses and others in our communities.
And it's interesting, they focus in, and from what I've understood from this particular that action that has taken place was, um, Clarence Thomas, Justice Clarence Thomas felt that when he was chosen, and so was many, um, to actually go to Harvard,
Mm-hmm.
and he fell under, which most of the people that have gone to school prior to 1980
Mm-hmm.
or maybe 1970, it fell under affirmative action.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like Harvard was reaching out to anybody.
Right.
They were reaching out to people that had scored extremely high on their
Right.
LSATs and their SATs.
Right.
These are people that were on their SATs, actually, people that were up in the 1500s.
Yeah.
So these are already extremely bright people that they were bringing, that they were reaching out to give them a college education. It
Right.
was not the person that scored 700 on their SATs.
Right. 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 Right.
Anything under that.
Right.
But he felt that people um, treated him badly under
Because they thought he came in on the affirmative action
right,
umbrella.
exactly. But would that not been the same if you had gotten a scholarship? That's always been the
Yeah.
case, right?
Yeah.
If you're a scholarship recipient, the privilege is going to make fun of you. Your job is to do the best that you
Yeah.
can and excel so that they can see that it was based upon, yeah, it may have been that,
Yeah.
but I have the skills and the brilliance in order to be able to appreciate where I am and come out of that. He's a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
So obviously it worked for him.
See, and that's a good point you brought up, co-host. That's a very good point you brought up, because he is looking at it from the standpoint that if affirmative action was not around, if it wasn't available, then those people wouldn't be looking at me and saying I'm inferior and I came in on a free pass. They would be looking at me for my knowledge and my accomplishment. But that does not guarantee that, because a lot of us go through programs that there's no affirmative action attached to it, and we still get looked at as inferior and lower category, lower status. So I don't understand what him and the other lawmakers are talking about. All those politicians who've been fighting to eradicate affirmative action.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
It is really, really crazy. And to be quite honest, the people of color, a black person, has not been the one to benefit most from affirmative action. Actually, Caucasian women have benefited greatly for affirmative action, because they, in fact, a lot of the laws that protect black people helped other underprivileged or ethnic groups and gender groups to benefit as well, because it couldn't be just isolated to us, right? It
And
was for the minority.
And on top of that, the institutions, they gain benefit from that too, because they receive more funds from federal organ like the Higher Education Institute. They receive funding for that because they participate in the affirmative action program. So they're complaining to make it look like it's one-sided against the student, but they're also getting money. So if they eradicate that program, their funding is going to be cut too. So what are they going to do then?
Mm-hmm.
They got to look. They're trying to spin this in such a way, and I think the idiots who don't know both sides of the story are the ones who are pushing to eradicate affirmative action, because if they knew anything, they'll know that Yale and Harvard and all those law schools, those big institutions, they still receive money from the federal government for participating in that program.
Yes. Exactly. So, but again, it's always that one-sided thing, right? So as we did some of our own research, so first let's talk about affirmative action as a policy, and
Yeah.
then we're going to go in and talk about for our audience the potential ways that affirmative action may affect small businesses, because that's what we're here for. We're
Mm-hmm.
here to make sure our small business owners are getting whatever resources that are available to them to help
Mm-hmm.
them grow. The whole purpose of business is not for you just to be a sole proprietor, is to be able to tap into all the resources that are out there, because small businesses fuel the economy.
Yeah, for sure. For
Without
sure.
small business, you don't have a turnover. If it would be like, it's a stagnant thing, right? Small businesses, if it wasn't for the number of businesses that mushroomed after the pandemic, we would
Yeah.
be in a world of trouble.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So it's small business is important. I don't care what nationality you are.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is that really encourages growth in our economy. And right now,
Mm-hmm.
I just heard this morning on, I think it was the Dave Packman show, that or one of the shows, the TYTs, whichever it was, but they were saying that they got the report, and uh, the United States is doing very well right now. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because of the efforts of what took place during the pandemic, that the government jumped in there right away to make
Right.
sure that businesses could survive. And now businesses are actually, the unemployment rate is down low. Right now, we even have low recession rates going on right now.
Yeah, yeah. And the whole thing about this is, once you provide economic opportunity and educational opportunity for all, it helps to foster a more educated, a more intelligent economy. So people will now understand certain things. People are access to learning certain things that can help to grow and promote their business, promote their community, even families. So the more knowledgeable people are, the more efficient they can function in society. And that's really what this is all about. So if schools give students more access to more opportunity on a higher level, they when they graduate, they can in turn, participate in programs that may lend diversity to it and show the other side of it, because not too many people look at just okay. For example, if I were the kind of employer who would just employ men, I would only know things from the
Mm,
standpoint of males.
that's
I
a good
really
point.
would, yeah, I really wouldn't know much about the female mind or what their contributions could do to help grow my business, because then I'll only be thinking a certain way. There's certain things about the other group, the female group, that most of us don't know, and when we're planning a business and um, we do case studies, right? When we interview women, we receive a different standpoint from them as opposed to when we interview men, because they brought a little different perspective to the table. The same thing with dealing with other minority groups. Each minority group has different um, point of views on things based on their environment, based on their community, based on their culture. So we got to embrace that. If we want to grow and be successful, we got to do that. And the government should take the lead in this, but they're leading from behind and talking smack and allowing certain little radical groups to make motions to eradicate the affirmative action program.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what the affirmative action as a policy, it aims to address historical and ongoing discrimination, but providing equal opportunities and promoting diversity. And so
Yeah,
that leads right to what you're saying.
yeah,
You would want diversity amongst your employees. You
Yeah.
don't want, and let's take it even narrow, Gilbert. Let's say that we decided that we're only going to hire men from a
Mm-hmm.
certain economic status that live in a
Yeah.
certain city or a
Right.
certain state,
Mm-hmm.
and between the ages, a certain age, and with the same moral, the same education, the
Mm-hmm.
same everything background,
Right.
right? Raised by the same type of people.
Mm-hmm.
So now, how diverse in how can your company grow if you're only operating? It's like a one mindset,
It will be one dimensional.
right?
You want your organization to be multi-dimensional. For example, look at you and the community briefing program that you design, develop, and implemented. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you on your show, you have guests from different aspects of the community. You see what I'm saying? So if you weren't into diversity, you weren't into affirmative action, you wouldn't be doing that. You would only be talking to certain groups of people.
Right. But what I understand, and what we all must understand, for the last 20, 30 years, all of our countries have been working to be to have a global presence, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We've been working to be that.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we are that,
Right,
why are you pushing that back? There was a
right.
whole strategy to bring in people from other diversity, bring in that diversity, because that
Mm-hmm.
makes us a better business. That makes
Right.
us a better country because we are able um to benefit from a wide range of different, as you said, perspectives and experiences and skills.
Yeah,
And hopefully that would increase the innovations and the creativity and problem solving capabilities within our organization. And we see that. That's what
yeah,
I've seen over the last 20 years,
yeah,
working in corporate America and
yeah.
working out of corporate America.
Right.
Look at just the last, since what, when did the dot com come about? In the 19 late 80s,
In the
early
late
90s.
80s, yeah.
Right. Look where we are today.
Right, right. And even bringing this closer to home, even in your program, the BizCamp program that you're running,
Right.
every season you have a collection of youth that you and Rhonda provide training, coaching, and guidance to in terms of entrepreneurship. Each one of them bring a different perspective to the table, a different culture, a different idea. When they're starting their business, they're all solving a different problem in the industry. You see what I mean? So
Right.
that's diversity right there. That's affirmative right there.
Right, because that's what we want our children to see, right? We want our children to see, we could have a class that's just kids that are all
Mm-hmm.
black, but we don't want kids that are all African American. We
No.
want a diversity,
Right.
because right there in fact, um one of the students that was in my class this past cohort, Gilbert,
Yeah.
she's learning Korean.
Yes. I love that.
And so her business is called Soul to Soul. So she's creating her business to be bringing soul food and Korean food infusion, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can help understand our likeness, our connection to family, and
Mm-hmm.
bringing two cultures that have historically some challenges with each other.
Right.
And she even mentions that in her business plan, not understanding each other's culture. And
Mm-hmm.
so maybe the goal is, and the mission is, to bring us together by food,
Yeah.
by breaking bread together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so just that, the young, and when she, and then I had also in my class this year, we had two kids that were autistic. So
Yeah.
they brought a different perspective,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
We had two kids that were twins that
Yeah.
brought a different perspective. We
Mm-hmm.
had kids that were kind of in a foster system type of
Yeah.
processing, being
Right.
raised by family members. And these were all experiences that these kids could come together
Yeah.
and connect with.
Yeah, and it provides you um, a periscope view into those mindsets and those perspective from those other groups that you otherwise wouldn't have had if you were just running the program by itself. You see what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So this is really not about people getting a welfare pass to getting free education or whatever it is, but it's balancing the scale because we do know that in most of these Ivy League colleges the prices price a lot of us out of the marketplace. We couldn't
Mm-hmm.
afford that, and then it will just be a continuous spiraling issue in the community because if you have one set of lawyers who have current information, current books and all that, and you have another set that they've got old books from the 1980s, then going into court and arguing points, it would just be passing each other along the way because they wouldn't be on the same page. And that's kind of what the affirmative action and diversity and inclusion is all about.
Yes, it is. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. But and also just being able to expand our talent pool,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Expand the talent pool so that you are benefiting from the
Yeah,
growth and a competitive space, right?
yeah.
Because now not every it's like being in sameness. I always call that like Stefford land, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's doing the same thing, thinking the same thing. There's no growth when everyone is thinking the
The
same,
same way, right?
when everybody's talent pool is the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Diversity is a benefit
Hmm.
to every business
And everyone.
and everyone, is a benefit to the country,
Yeah,
is a benefit to the world. Diversity is. And it's just so sad, but it is what it is. But that is um some of the potential ways that this ruling could affect small businesses and impact. Because now, you know, if people decide that, okay, we're not going to bring, and let's take America for example. How
yeah.
much manufacturing are we doing today?
See, that's what I'm talking about. Not much. We're
Right,
we're
and if
we're we're manufacturing, either we're exporting it, or I mean we're outsourcing it abroad, or we're doing limited here in our country.
right,
You know.
and then let's take tech. Where
See,
are most of our tech professionals coming from?
they're
Because
coming from
we
foreign
don't
countries.
we didn't encourage STEM. We just started encouraging STEM in our
Yeah,
country 10
yeah,
years ago, right?
yeah, yeah,
But tech has been around since the late in the 80s and early 90s, but
yeah.
we don't have the talent
Mm-hmm.
because nobody's being taught that.
Yes, yes.
No one's being taught. No one was we didn't.
Mm-hmm. That's
Right?
true.
We I don't remember too many people. If they did, they were doing. I think I had a few friends later on. I think the friends of mine that graduated after the 90s or from high school or the late 80s, they were actually going into computer sciences.
Yeah, it's
That's
unbelievable.
yeah, but not. Did you know too many people that were taking getting computer science degrees when you were going to school?
No, no. And the computer programs they had available, it was so difficult and cumbersome that a lot of people got turned off by it. They didn't want to be a part of it because it seemed so difficult to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But as time moves along, they start learning a more comprehensive and simpler way of doing those things, coding and programming. And that's why I see a lot of women and a lot of teenagers, a lot of youth are in that program, that
Right,
space right now.
right, because they became more. But I'm sure that infusion had to come from the infusion of probably Southeast and Asian
Yeah.
countries, because
Yeah.
they did focus. They've put their emphasis on math and tech. That's where their
Science
and
and
sciences and
technology.
tech. That's where
Yeah.
theirs are. Ours, I'm not even quite sure. I don't know what we're focusing on in this country, but it's not really developing the top level talent based
Yeah.
upon what our students are learning today. And
Right.
so I do think when you have the diversity in your workplace, and when you have the diversity in your education uh, institutions, it creates a competitiveness that you want to be able to achieve as much as they have, which then enhances the skill sets.
Hmm.
So that's what I think.
And co-host, you've done some research using Chat GPT on
Hmm.
this topic of affirmative action and its impact on small business. And we've come up, guys. We've come up with a few points here that we want to go over with you to
Right.
show you how diversifying and providing inclusion in different programs, different learning, different business, and the economy, how it can help to spur growth in a global way.
Yes.
So, did you want to go through
Well, I
the
kind
first?
of did a couple of them, but why don't you talk about number three, because that's your area of expertise: contracting, government contracting.
Okay. So, one of the standpoints that we want to present to the audience here today on how affirmative action and diversity can provide a lot of benefit to the society is from a compliance and requirement standpoint, compliance requirements. A lot of small businesses do not think about compliance requirements. A lot of small business don't think about compliance, and compliance is in pretty much everything you do in business. If you get a contract, there's contract compliance. If you're providing labor services, there's labor compliance in that. You got to understand that. If you're a manufacturing firm manufacturing certain products, there's certain requirements and compliance you got to abide by too. So compliance is everywhere around you. So affirmative action policies often come with certain compliance requirements, particularly for businesses that have government contracts or receiving government funding. And that is big for those, whether you're a nonprofit or other entities. If you're receiving funds from anyone, at some point they're going to audit you. At some point they're going to check with you to see what you're doing. They're going to evaluate your program. So that's where the compliance piece comes in. Now, these requirements may include reporting on workforce demographics, implementing equal employment opportunity. And I just want to expand on this part, guys, so you know this. I've worked in government contracting and compliance for over 20 years now. And I just want to let you guys know, when you apply for your minority certification, there's a checklist of documents you got to provide. That's regard to compliance. When you get a government contract, there's a checklist of things you need to do within to abide by that contract. That's considered compliance. Now, in that compliance, and if many of you don't know this, I want to just stress this to you. If you get a public works contract, say with Metro, the city of Los Angeles, or the county, in there somewhere, it's going to talk about a non-discrimination policy. It's going to talk about how you cannot discriminate against someone because of their sex, their color, their natural origin, and things like that. Those are clauses that you have to abide by in the contract. It's there. And if you're subcontracting to other small businesses, you got to write that into your subcontract policy as well. So for those of you who don't understand, this is a big part of affirmative action and a big part of inclusion and diversity. These are what's in government contracts. There's no way around it. So if the sooner you know and the sooner you recognize these things, the more you can comply and you can get by and get the contract in dollars you need. So equal employment opportunity practices are looked at. Developing affirmative action plans within your own company. Those things are looked at. You will got to have that. Now, small business, they need to allocate additional resources and in effort to meet these compliance obligation, which shouldn't be major for you. Because if you're practicing this on a daily basis, for you to allocate additional resources, nothing, because you're already doing it. You have your policy and your procedure. You have your standard operating procedure, and all of that encompasses affirmative action and diversity and inclusion procedures. So it makes it much easier for you. So I just wanted to put that out there, guys, so you can understand that affirmative action is not just for higher education and all of that. It trickles into small business and the community and the society as well.
I think, yeah, exactly. And that those contracts were designed to provide opportunities for those that more likely wouldn't receive those opportunities
Yes.
based upon their ethnicity, their
Yes.
disadvantaged status, or
Yes.
minority status. They were
Mm-hmm.
designed. So could that potentially, and since this is your space, Gilbert,
Mm-hmm.
based upon this new ruling, could something even more drastic come across, that they literally eliminate the contracts, the minority certifications for
Yeah.
minorities?
Yes.
Could that?
Yes. Let's look at the disadvantaged business enterprise certification, for example, DBE certification.
Mm-hmm,
That is one that is really closely aligned with this affirmative action program, because in the DBE program, the whole reason why that program was developed is to equal a playing field for small businesses, because the bigger businesses were getting all the contracts. They never share it with small businesses, and they have a program where they call it sole source.
mm-hmm.
And so certain agencies would award contracts to one firm only, just that one firm, for years and years and years and years. Nobody else could compete, just that one firm. And then if there's another contract that comes up, they can just piggyback on that policy and go to that other contract without even putting it out for bid, so other qualified small business or disadvantaged business can participate. So this has far-reaching ramifications, guys. So you can know. So the DBE program, it has those checkpoints in there to be acknowledged by the prime contractor and the owner. So they have to provide opportunities to subcontractors, and that's why the government set a goal on many of these projects that, 10% of the contract award amount got to go to disadvantaged business, or 15% goes to disadvantaged business, just to even the field, get more disadvantaged businesses on the playing field. That's really what it's all about.
Okay,
And,
so
and and because the DBE program is funded by federal funds, Department of Transportation funds, U.S. Department of Transportation funds, which is federal funds, they have to abide by this program. So now, if the Supreme Court is saying, well, through the education process, we're going to eliminate affirmative action, and that spreads on a federal level, you see how that could impact, because it could trickle down to DBE programs, DBE contracts, all of the contract. SBA has an economic disadvantage program. All of those programs could be impacted by this affirmative action being eradicated. So, guys, you got to be vigilant about it. Stay on top of it.
I agree. And here's another one that would have a devastating effect for our small business is potential legal implications. So, let's say some individual that is working for you feel that there's reverse discrimination. You're a Black organization, and they come in and they feel that they're being unfairly treated or overlooked due to what
Mm-hmm.
their perceived concepts of affirmative action
Mm-hmm.
policies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you as a small business owner could actually be sued.
Right. And,
um
and
that
I'll
would be, go ahead.
I've seen people try that before. I mean, they've done it in the education space, and I think there's an Asian person who had applied for who had file a case
Mm-hmm.
about reverse discrimination, and he won. I don't know what supporting information he had, but he won. But I can hear this going on in workplace and in contracts and in the economy too. I can hear people saying this. That these are usually the people who are benefiting from those programs who are complaining. They're being critics and complaining about this, which it's just crazy to me.
Right, exactly. And then, of course, you have, and in this culture that we're in today, which is so volatile, so separatist, there's so much separatism going on,
Mm-hmm.
that community perception and reputation. So
Yeah.
your company could be implicated in, and affected by the what you feel your views are, that you're an equal opportunity employer,
Mm-hmm.
and you're making sure that it's diverse, but someone within the confines feel, on the other hand, that you're holding differences for various people. And again, we're back to them being able to destroy your reputation. Look at what's going on when we do the woke stuff, and look what happened to Budweiser. Look
Yeah.
what happened to Target.
Yeah.
Um, these are things, a particular segment of the community has this certain perception, and they have their voices is carrying a lot of weight right now, and
Mm-hmm.
now they're creating problems within, big box stores. Target
Yeah.
pulled all of their gay pride merchandise during that time, because someone was saying, why are you isolating that particular group? We don't agree with that group, right? And the
Yeah.
same thing with Budweiser. You run a commercial and gay people drinking Budweiser, and all of a sudden they got a whole boycott on Budweiser. This is the world we're living in today,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
really quite frightening
Right.
that we've worked so hard to get to this place, this diversity place, where we all represent other cultures and we
Mm-hmm.
respect other cultures, but the
Right.
group, for whatever reason, are feeling like their needs are not being met.
Right.
And
Or or they're thinking that you're going to start overlooking them and start looking towards the group being advocated for, which is crazy. I mean, all we're doing is trying to create a balance here. it's like
mhm,
it's like having the spoke, right? That spoke has about eight that wheel has about eight spoke in it, right?
right,
And each spoke would represent one of the minority groups. You see what I'm saying?
right,
So
exactly.
if you don't have all those spokes in the wheel, how is the wheel going to function? The wheel can't
Right.
run. Can't
Right.
run.
It'd be a little lopsided, right? Especially since we've worked to make the country very diverse.
Yeah.
And in this particular this country especially, we it's all been about that from the
Yeah.
very beginning. It's about you being able to come to a country, create freedom for yourself, because
Yeah.
obviously you feel you're coming from an oppressed place. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is what this has been from the first immigrant that came in on from to Ellis Island,
Yeah.
um, from the first enslaved
Yeah.
African that was
Mm-hmm.
brought over here against their will,
Yes.
right? From the indigenous people that were already here. This
Mm-hmm.
was became a melting pot, and so for it all of something to become a homogeneous one nation that all look alike, that's not possible in this country.
Right.
It
And
didn't start that way.
it's just to create opportunity, economic opportunity for everyone. Because otherwise, the government people will be looking to the government for them to be taken care of and support and all of that. So when you allow folks to learn on their own, obtain opportunities on their own, they can expand, they can grow, they can hire people. They can pay back into the community, pay taxes and all of that. That's what this is all about, man, to make a stronger country. I just don't get this,
I know.
fighting against affirmative action and all of that. I mean,
Right. And thinking that it has a broader importance to how we function and live in this country. So it's important that we understand the impact of affirmative action on a small business community, understanding that it's just not affecting the universities or the colleges.
right,
It's really much broader than that,
right.
because our small businesses can be influenced by so many factors anyway.
Yeah,
But when you add in this other component to it, it could affect the industry you're in, the location you're in, whatever the prevailing social dynamics are. So small businesses uh, may perceive affirmative action as an added burden, but we have to see it in its whole. And I think I'd say you have to set your own examples.
yeah. Now let's look at affirmative action in a different kind of way. Okay,
Okay.
let's look at it in a different kind of way. So the groups who are fighting against it, they're not going to come into our community and try to help build and foster and grow our community. I'm
No.
talking the minority community. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are listening and watching this program, this is a business zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We are on every Friday from 3 to 4:30. This is what we talk about. We provide information on these types of topics. We help small businesses. We give them advice. We provide them coaching, guidance, and help them to elevate. I haven't seen a program out there similar to this one that is being offered by someone from the other side who is not a minority. I haven't seen that. So, what we're saying is those folks who are fighting against the program, who don't look like us, we don't see them in our communities trying to help our groups to grow, to develop talents, develop skill, where the knowledge is garnered from a higher level. That is why we need to have folks that look like us applying and being admitted into those institutions to obtain and gain access to that kind of knowledge so they can come back to our community and help us grow, foster, and develop so we can build a community, we can build businesses, we can hire people into our community because we're not depending on them to hire us because they're not going to hire us. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
hire their friends and family. We want to build our own communities. And that's what I'm talking about. Here's another point I want to put out there. Crystal, if you and I get, say, $1 million, we will be happy to put back, some of that into our community to build our business, build a community, hire people
Mm-hmm.
with that. So we're
Mm-hmm.
providing economic opportunity for folks and their families as opposed to others who have never been to our community who don't even know what we do.
Right.
So you see how affirmative action helps to build communities, help to expand mindsets, and help people grow. It's just an amazing thing. I don't know how folks, but it's that crab in the barrel mentality, man. It's like
Yeah, yeah, it's just that. And I think again that when you're so isolated in your community and you only are sharing the same views of the same people that you've grown up with all your lives, you have not gone out and ventured outside of that community. You
mm-hmm,
haven't traveled anywhere. You haven't had communication with someone of another ethnicity. You are going to have that very single-minded thought
mm-hmm,
process. And also, the other side of that is that you're going to feel like you are deprived
mm-hmm,
because you have not seen the world,
right,
right? I mean, because the one thing I recognize from traveling is we think we got it bad here. There are other countries that got it far worse than
far
us,
worse, far
far
worse.
worse than there and us. And so even somewhere like the UK, I was listening since they've been going through the whole Brexit thing.
Mm-hmm,
They've betted against
yeah,
themselves, just like here in this
yeah,
country. And so now their rent is astronomical but they don't make the kind of money that we make here.
Exactly. Exactly. And those were some silly decisions that they made because they became misinformed by a certain group. And that's the same thing I think is going on with affirmative action, where certain group is trying to drive the narrative, and it's not an intelligent narrative either. It's just one out of spite and selfism, where people just, it's all about them and nobody else. And if there's any resources out there, they want to be the one to benefit from it so others can't. So that's what that is. And I totally reject this anti affirmative action campaign that's going on, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't have a clue as to how beneficial this could be to multiple communities. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, think about this. When we first got introduced to COVID in March of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
I did not see one person who looked like the anti-affirmative action campaigners starting a campaign, a program in our community to educate the people about what COVID is about, the impacts of it, where you can gain resources for it. Who did? You.
Right.
You.
And bringing the people, because again, I was very concerned about my community. I knew my community historically have gotten information at the when it's too late for them to really benefit from the information or the opportunities that are being presented. So I knew right away that we had to have an outlet that brought people to tell us what was really going on. Where was the money? How was it being dispersed to us? What did you need to do? We all were on the bandwagon. Get your taxes done. Get your business to running properly. You need steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 so that you can survive this. And we consistently did that every week. We did that even here on our show.
Yeah.
We were consistent about that, and that's what it takes. People that have resources and opportunities that some of our business owners may not have. You and I, just in how we've lived our lives, have more experience, more opportunities, a different perspective on business than people who did not. So
Mm-hmm.
we are always sharing that information. How you see life coming from a Caribbean island is different than how I see life, and I came from a town on the East Coast.
Yeah.
How I see life is different than those that grew up on the West Side.
Exactly.
That's why it's so important as a people to be able to be exposed to multiple people and multiple diverse environments,
Right.
because it helps you have a better perspective
Right,
on
right.
life.
And that's why I'm just saying that a lot of those folks who are fighting against this program, they're blinded. They're not really seeing the whole thing. They're just looking at their own personal interest. Oh, these people are coming in, so therefore I'm not going to get access to any of those opportunities that I'm not interested in applying for anyway, but I don't want them to get it. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
It makes
right.
no sense.
It makes it, but it's like this: is that we're operating with our fists
Yeah,
closed, not knowing if you open up your fist and encourage, the what could come into your life. But when you're like this, nothing can come in.
right.
And that's what I see the anti affirmative action people is this.
Yeah,
They're closed fists,
yeah,
they're closed minded, and they're so, and when you're like this,
yeah.
you're so afraid of everything that happens outside of your world
Yeah,
that's different than your world.
right.
Right? You see everything. You see the glass half empty. You don't see the glass half
Yeah.
full when you walk around with your mind, your mentality, everything closed off, because you don't want anything that doesn't think like you, look like you, speak like you.
Hmm.
That to me is such a isolated way to live your life.
I personally believe, co-host, we should revisit this topic very frequently and talk about it as much as we can and as much resources we can throw at it. I know we're at the bottom of the hour. We have
Yes.
only a minute and a half left in the show, but I really think we should, because if we don't keep talking about it, it's just going to go away and nobody pay attention to it anymore. They need to, because the points we brought out here today on this program in support of affirmative action for schools, community, small business are really vital points that can help to grow communities and families.
I agree. I completely agree. And so we have to I agree with you, Gilbert. We have to keep forcing it. I'm going to let this show, I'm going to and we definitely need to close it off so that I can rerun it. I'm going to let it run a couple more times next week.
Yes.
So that people can eventually get, they can hear it.
Yeah.
Cuz this is a vital conversation that we need to keep going. Don't listen to what you're just hearing in the news.
Yeah.
You say, okay, in California, we already eliminated the affirmative action. So what difference does it make?
Right.
It makes a big difference. And nowadays, it makes a big difference because when people are creating laws and legislations to limit other people's ability to live a decent life,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's a problem.
Right.
That is a major problem. So if we just celebrated the 4th of July for freedom, we just celebrated Juneteenth for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
This is that's part of
It
freedom.
is a part of
In
freedom.
my mind, affirmative action and being able to provide and be able to receive all opportunities that are out there, in spite of what your ethnicity or your sexual, your gender identification is, that's freedom.
And we're not even asking them for anything much. All we're asking for is inclusion and equity and an equal opportunity to thrive and grow so we can help others. That's all we're asking for. We're
That's
not
it.
asking them for anything.
No handouts.
No handouts.
Just a opportunity to be able to thrive just like everyone else. So very, very important, guys. We're thrilled that you guys spent this afternoon with us, and share this video with any of your friends and colleagues, especially those that are a bit confused on what the affirmative action is and what it means to you as a small business owner. And that's what we talk about.
Yeah.
Everything that we talk about is about you, the small business owner, and how certain policies and procedures affect you as a business owner.
Exactly. So we want to invite you to come back next week, next Friday, from 3 to 4:30. You can go to YouTube and log in at 3 o'clock. You'll see our show pop up live there, and you can access it. Or you can go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert.com. The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert.com. You can just put that in your browser, and you can go ahead and do it right now. Put it in your browser and mark it so that we can alert you every Friday so you can log in. And my co-host has a QR code to share with you.
So if you also go over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, take a picture of this. You can go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert and hit that subscribe button, or you can use your camera on your phone and scan the QR code, and it'll take you directly there. Hit that subscribe button. We really want to grow this channel. We really want to become. We really want this information to get to as many people as possible. So we thank you in advance for subscribing to our channel. And with that, we're going to close out for this show this week, and could get that all out. And you are tuned in to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, the platform where we bring information and resources to you, the small business owner, to make sure you have the tools and resources that you need to be successful in your business.
All right. So, folks, we are signing out right now, and this is our outro. We'll see you next week.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
No, wait, I didn't hit I don't even know where the button is. Oh my